you know, previous Conservation Commission managers or town, whoever was doing Diane's work, it kind of set the standard of these are the ones we use. But when I talked to Diane, I didn't realize that these are required by the state. These are the categories we have to work with. These budget lines with these descriptions.
Well, we can add to that. We just have to have these.
We looked through the categories and couldn't find things that fit better. You know?
Mm-hmm. There's some things that are half sheep and half dog. For example, Leanne is excellent at doing a lot of the legal work with property boundaries and titles and whatnot, rather than us hire a lawyer. So it comes out of her pay.
But that's one of the ones I talked to Diane about. I said it would be better, it would be a lot easier for me to say how we were spending our money if I charged her time for the different kinds of project we work on. But she said, because she's a town employee, she has to be in that category. So I really have to break that item down. I don't have my notes in this, but we did discuss this, about how Leanne was gonna be spending her time and how that would turn out. But those are that and acquisitions and monitoring, which is primarily Rick Vanderpool. Those are our big items.
Right.
That's where the majority of our budget is.
And in acquisition and monitoring, you anticipate you will spend the full amount this year, correct?
Yes, if we don't spend it, we'll be carrying it over because it's an ongoing project.
So you'll come to us and ask us to encumber those funds, and then that.
It's not an ongoing thing? I mean, don't we just annually budget acquisitions and monitoring?
We do, right.
So it isn't-
So if there's active work that is going on, not just ongoing, but at that point that we haven't paid for yet, then we can encumber the funds. But if it's just part of the normal course of business, it has to be work that's billable on. I mean, we can't say, well, we know he's going to do it next year, so we're going to roll this money over. That's not how that works. There has to be something.
There is an accounting procedure.
There has to be something that we can tie it to, not that, oh, we budgeted it and we know we'll spend it eventually, so we'll keep rolling it. So as we encumber it, it has to be against specific work.
We 2 years ago, we had Rick Vanderpool outline all the things that he could be doing for us on the Great Meadow project.
Mm-hmm.
And he made various estimates. We actually pay him by the hour.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we've been basing it on. And then we say, okay, we're ready to move ahead on this part of the project. And it's still based on the estimate that he gave us. So,
Right.
so right now he's working on the rear plant study and working on talking to landowners. And
So it would be good to understand how much of that stuff he's actually going to get done this year, whether he bills us for it or not, so that we can set that money aside.
and I told him that too.
Yeah. So maybe we can have another conversation.
Yeah.
Because if the work isn't done this year, or isn't under an active, I mean, we're getting this finished up, then that money just goes back to the general fund and we have to work against next year's item.
Right. Got a cramp in my leg. Sorry.
It's all that manual labor, Chip.
It is, I have a lot of staging.
Couple things while he's reviewing. if you need to encumber some funds, you'll document that and get back to us. And you also have, at some point, a job performance review that needs to be completed before merit increase goes out. I know that it's just a reminder.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I actually, I had it scheduled, and Leanne's former husband passed away.
Last month, yeah.
Yeah, and that was, it was right during when I was gonna do it. And I'm having my shoulder joint replaced in a week or two. So I'm really struggling to get all the physical things done that I have to get done. I normally do through the whole fall and winter.
Yes.
So I don't know whether I'm going to get to it in the next.
It's on your bucket list.
It'll be before the end of the fiscal year.
Right.
Okay.
I have nothing else. Do you have anything else, Bill?
I do not, no?
All right, I'll research that negative number. And I'll try to stay on the top of the other stuff.
Yeah, it's, and I guess in general, do you get a one of the things that Diane provided us with is the last 5 years of expense. Does she give you that when you get ready to?
No, I didn't have that.
All right. And I think,
I have it now, though.
oh, okay. I was gonna say,
I got it this
we ought to
morning.
make sure that as people go to start putting their budgets together, that they have the 5-year look back, because
That's certainly helpful.
that's helpful in identifying, yes, we have an increasing trend, or we're steady, or, it's all over the place. On individual line items, $500 this year, should we put 500 in next year? Do we want to reduce it by 100? Particularly those things that are what I would call nominal. I mean, we know we're going to have some expense. You've identified a couple of areas where we're going to have a bump up, and you have some things tied to it. This is why. Some of those other things that have sort of been long-standing, we got 500 here, and we've been carrying 500 here, and we're spending a little bit.
Yeah.
Might be appropriate to just say, all right, we'll put 400 in this year, recognizing that as we go forward, we know where we're spending money and where we need more to do the job correctly that we're trying to do. And some of these other ones, we gotta have some money there, but a nickel here, a nickel there, and pretty soon you're talking about real money. And what we're trying to do is be as accurate in reflecting what the need is going to be as we can, and not just, we'll keep that the same, and maybe we'll use it, maybe we won't.
Because you've doubled, excuse me, 3 years. And part of the issue that I can see is, do we actually have an administrative assistant need of 10 hours a week? I mean, I don't know, Steve.
It varies.
Because the amount that we're paying for the administrative assistant has more than doubled.
I monitor her time report, but it's not like I'm here working on a job.
No, and that's one of the challenges, and I don't, but
I basically don't see the results until probably a month later.
right,
Depending on the project, but
yeah.
it's a challenging thing.
And you've got some big projects going on. But in 2015, you spent $5,887 on an administrative assistant, and now you're asking for $9,000. So is that because of the watershed study, or is it because of something else that's going on that requires more per time?
We went down the list where we basically talked hours, and we went down the list of what we've been doing last year and then what we're planning to do in the next year. And that's the way it came out.
So the hours here is a compilation of task-related time.
I don't have that with me, but my recollection is that the increases were primarily in the master plan, which is now in a wrap-up, or should be in a wrap-up phase. I don't know where planning board is with it.
Well, we're getting
I-
close.
I- I have her time sheet for this week, and she breaks it down to planning board, master plan, conservation, and there's also another account, the Mirror Lake Watershed, that she does a few hours in the course of the year, and she keeps it all separate, and that's reviewed by the supervisors each week.
So how many hours is she looking at? Oh, that was a week? Or 2 weeks?
This was last week.
Okay, so conservation last week, how much was that?
Was 8.5 hours. That included a meeting,
Yeah,
and it included the projects that she
Right
was
at the
assigned.
minutes, I had some other smaller tasks for her to do, and the other thing she does is when we have a conference coming up, she signs us up and she coordinates the billing for it. And we have a conference, the New Hampshire Association of Conservation Commissions is coming up in November. I know a couple of people have notified her that they want to go, so I don't know whether that time, but until I talk to her again,
yeah.
I can't tell you where those 8 hours went.
But it does, I know when we meet once a month, all these things have been done and accurately,
Yeah.
and when you're doing things like boundary adjustments and things like that, it's pretty technical.
The other item that on her time that went up for next year, for a budget request, is working on these 2 parcels that,
For easement.
well, it actually is, there's 4 projects involved that we didn't have last year, 2 possible purchases, and that could evaporate. That could evaporate tomorrow. It's a guess, but if we're successful, there's quite a bit of mailing and things that have to go on, recording deeds, stuff like that. And then the other 2 of these, 2 donated easements that we hope to bring forward,
Yeah,
and there'll be a lot of work on that. So, I've tried to anticipate that. I think it was 2 years ago, out of 5,000 that we anticipated, we only spent like 4,000, or it's actually something less than that.
3,800.
3,800.
You have to guess, but
Yeah.
the one thing we know is that if we don't ask for it, we're not gonna get it.
Right.
And you hate to see an opportunity, to do a good conservation thing go away because we didn't budget enough
Mhm.
funds for it. And we don't try, if something isn't working out, we don't try to figure out a way to spend the money some other way. We just let it go
Take a
back.
step back.
I think the first time I saw the 5-year thing was maybe the budget committee last year. And I didn't want to say publicly that I was surprised, but I was surprised. I didn't know it was available, I think. I don't think I had used it the previous year.
Well, you weren't chairman a few
But
years
to tell you the
ago.
truth, I forgot about that when I was working on this year's budget. Or next year's budget.
Do we want to tentatively approve this, or what is the board's wishes?
Yeah, I think we need to look at all of them. It's a good trend and it's a bad trend. It's a good trend if we're getting a lot more work out of it. It's a bad trend if we're just spending a lot more money, because we have doubled that budget in 2 years. So I think we need to have a little closer look. Steve's defended it admirably.
Yes.
And
It-
it could be that we need to take a look at how we treat the administrative assistant, or how that employee's budgeted.
Yep.
That's a big item on his budget, but.
In a larger town, it would be an administrator
Yeah.
Right.
who would be supervising that person and know a lot about what they do hour to hour every day. But it's, and,
Right.
I'm on about 5 or 6 other commissions and committees that, you
And it-
know, I'm pretty.
Well,
Would it be
thin.
more effective if it were a full-time employee being overseen by our administrative office, so that more work got done more efficiently, and we could probably cap this growth that's going on in that particular line? We'll have to-
So the,
we'll talk about it.
and we're spending more on the administrative assistant, all right? We have more irons in the fire that she's working on. The overall budget is up substantially over several years ago, but there are things that you're working on today that are costing money that you anticipate continuing and expanding going forward as a reason for why that is in there. So it's, in my view, it's important that as we go forward, that we
Balance.
say, okay, this is a purposeful increase here, not just, it's sort of going along because time's going along, but we're increasing this budget because we want to, as a town, we want to do more things in this area.
There's a list of accomplishments and activities that I went through.
Yeah, no,
I'd say 3 years ago, we weren't doing half of that stuff.
Yeah.
4 years ago, we were hardly doing any of it. So there's a lot.
Your commission is
a lot
very
going on.
engaged today, and I think the budget that you presented suggests that you anticipate that that's going to continue.
Yeah, I don't think we're talking $5,000 on a total
Right.
town budget.
Yeah.
It's sort of like arguing about what brand of pens to buy, but I think it's important that we focus on the proactive nature of our current conservation commission. I think
Yep,
that's
absolutely.
absolutely important.
Yeah. And certainly, I would be interested in, as you look at the time that she's spending and that you're budgeting, looking at that breakdown, okay? So we're at about 10 hours a week in 2018, which is a little more than she's spent. It's not the same every week, on average, okay? And that's targeting this much time for this much time for this much time. Recognizing that some of that may not happen if some of these projects don't come to fruition. But still, it's, I think it's helpful and instructive to have a
Right, I'm just
look
not
at that
certain,
blueprint.
we need to, just conversation here,
Right.
whether we can actually burden Steve with that record keeping, or whether we really need to bring her in-house, so we can have somebody else keeping track of that per time. I mean, I don't know that there's any, I mean, you're on the planning board, you have kind of an idea, hopefully, of what time commitment that takes for her. I mean, have we created a full-time employee, which we have, she has 3 different bosses or 4 different bosses.
Right.
And-
I can tell you that when I first joined the commission, we didn't have an assistant. We did our own notes, and it was like, I think there were people who didn't come to meetings because they were afraid they might get stuck
Draw
in
the
the
short
minute.
straw.
Mhm.
And then, more recently, I talked to a couple of the key members of the commission who, work hard on a lot of things. And I said, so what if we just go back to doing it ourselves? I mean, heads turned the other way, and it was like, I'm not doing it. And these are people who are already working hard on the project. It is, I know I personally wouldn't do it because of my hearing loss issue. I don't hear a lot of what goes on. I don't hear, and sometimes I misconstrue what people are saying at meetings, and I have to be corrected. But it's a big burden on volunteers to do that.
Yeah.
So there is always, in some groups I'm in, there are people who are willing because, like Land Bank, they kind of pass it around between three guys that are, it doesn't seem to bother them to do it. We don't have anybody on our commission like that right now. They all hate it.
No, and I mean, to be perfectly honest, I wouldn't do this job if we didn't have administrative assistants. It just isn't worth it.
Exactly.
It just drives me crazy.
We bumped into the same thing with the budget committee. You go to the bathroom and you're elected secretary 2 years in a row. And when we had stipends and whatnot, the budget committee was the first one to say, we're not taking the stipends, please hire a professional to take the minutes so we can focus on what we were elected
But
to
it's,
do. And it works.
and it's the additional stuff that you didn't even think of. It's like the conference we just went to. You know, somebody's got to call up, somebody's got to book a room, you know, pay for the tickets and give you the dates and remind you.
Yeah, that's another big one. Before Leanne, when I went to conferences, I had to make my own reservations, and I don't know how many times I screwed it up. I get here and he said, well, we don't have your name.
Yeah.
And then you gotta get a receipt, you gotta bring it back, and 6 months later, you get compensated.
I will move approval of the conservation budget.
I'll
And a
second.
total amount of $20,580 for 2018.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? I'll ask for a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes 3-0. Again, Steve, thank you for your efforts and your commission's efforts.
This group is very supportive of us, and everybody knows it.
Well, it's a nice town to...
It's conditional.
Sir, good luck with your shoulder and getting your firewood in. We are all struggling with that.
How about you? I'm 2 years ahead, so that,
Yeah.
Oh, good.
I'll come by your house and do that.
pulling boats and docks and moving stuff around.
We're just
Well, I'll look forward to hearing from you when we meet in a couple of weeks.
Well, I know some things I need to sharpen up on now.
But you're having budget, or you're having surgery pretty soon, so,
Yeah, 23rd.
okay, so you won't be here for the 24th meeting, that's for sure.
I won't feel like it anyway.
We'll see you in November
I'm
then.
supposed to get out the next day, but
Okay.
I'm supposed to spend a lot of time with my recliner for a few days.
Good day for the surgery. Yes,
Okay.
good luck, take care, we'll talk soon.
Okay, thanks.
I think I'll make it appearance. What a nice gentleman.
Yep,
You knew him, obviously.
I did, yep.
Do I know you, sir?
Yes. Active week.
Mr. Gallagher.
We're waiting for him to sit. Why do I need to know what a data universal numbering system is?
Oh, you,
That, the question came up at the meeting
You
on
asked what
Monday
a
about
DUNS was.
DUNS.
Oh. Really?
So Adam
this
gave
is
it-
a definition?
That's the
Adam
definition.
provided that to you, yeah.
Adam's right on it.
Yeah. You asked the question, he provided the answer.
Yep.
Clay, you know everybody here. right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Why don't you begin, sir?
Ducks in the ringer. Okay. Basically, the package I presented shows all of the background data and information. I don't know if you have the packet that has the up arrows and down arrows.
Yep, yep.
Okay. That's the overall budget with the exception of facility maintenance, facility electric, and facility heat.
That is someplace else, correct?
That's in a separate place. So the page here is just the single budget line item summary. And what I did was the 2017 budget, and then on the left-hand side, I said whether we're requesting the same amount of money. There's a dash up, there's an up arrow, down, there's a down arrow. And the 2018 proposed is on the right-hand side. And for each budget line, there's a number. Obviously, the first major area of that budget is on page 2, which is the labor portion of the budget. And I've listed the matrix where on the left-hand side you have position, that's current grade and step, the hours per week, hours per year, additional hours that are added. And the only change is in the additional hours added, I added some more hours for the per diem, the 3 per diem employees, because we have 3, there's more hours to fill in for vacation time. As guys get more senior, you get more vacation time, so I've had to add a few more hours in for that. And then the column for grand total hours, self-explanatory. What was appropriated in 2017 was $131,508. The old hourly rate, the new hourly rate is with a raise of 2% and a COLA of 1.2% built into the chart. So the total amount was 3.2%. And everybody, I have the performance reports that we can discuss.
Does that reflect a step? Is it one or two?
It's one step up for everybody. Everybody on the facility this year has gone up a minimum of 1 grade level in our training with the state. We've all gone up one grade level, and Kerry Long has actually gone up 2 grade levels.
He's taken a lot
He's
of
volunteered.
additional responsibility.
He has volunteered.
He's also been the taxi to make sure he takes 2 people with him.
Right, and Barry has jumped on board as well, because Rob and I are both at the top of the grade levels now. Barry wants to join in that group and has become motivated to go to the trainings and get that extra grade level. And the per diem guys have jumped right on board, Kerry and Rob, Bob Dean have joined right on board. So, and Kerry has also volunteered to do a lot of the training. I showed you the training folders, which he did. So basically everybody went up a 1 step level in their grade. Now, of interest, this piques me at the cap of the salary range. The way, at least I understand it when I've come from other organizations, you have a starting range and an ending range in the job description that you have. And I assume that that's on the matrix that we have.
Right.
That's on that same grade. Then the maximum step is 15, and that's the maximum wherever you enter. When you get to the end of that row, or then you have maxed out on your salary. So this is the last year, unless I get a job change or a responsibility change, and redo the job description or have more taskings, then I'm capped at that amount of money, raise-wise. I will still get COLA, but I wouldn't get any more.
No step increases.
No step increases. And after doing all the figuring, the 2018 new hourly wage is listed in that column. And the last column, 2018 proposed compensation, you have the actual figure amount after calculating it all out, and the total is 136,172. That's a 3.5% increase over 2017. And the reason it's a little bit higher is because I added some extra hours for the per diem guys. Okay, so, and underneath the additional hours, I put that in there. The budget committee likes this because right down at the bottom under additional hours, I listed all the things that go into those additional hours. It's like when we go down to NRA training for a day, that's 6 people, 10-hour duty day. So you got 60 hours of pay, and then you got mileage, and then you got the fee for going to the conference. So, it's can be a significant number.
Yep. Training is
Okay.
significant.
So that takes care of the labor lines on the front, and that's the reason you got the up arrows for them. The next page is the building maintenance, and right now I have on the 2018 proposed, I've decreased the amount on the transfer station maintenance line by $8,000. And that's because we had in that line $8,000 for the painting from last year. We had all the buildings repainted, with the exception of Quonset. Right now, if you add the building maintenance line, that last page, the labor lines, and all the individual budget lines, you come up with, the budget is up $9,014. However, it's decreased by $8,000 from the building maintenance, so we're only up $1,014 or 0.002% of what we appropriated last year. Do you understand that?
Yeah.
Okay. So if the proposed 2018 budget goes as I proposed there, with slight increases on the tires, on the safety equipment, on MSW, CD, and plastic disposal, then if we take those 3 factors, put them together, you have plus up $9,000, but minus $8,000 from the painting, so you're only up $1,000. So that is basically a 0.002% increase. That's with the raises, that's with everything, because we
Your revenue stream stayed static, or is that up?
the revenue stream is up right now, but so is the amount of construction debris,
Right.
and it's above what we were at this point last year. So there are going to be, this is a snapshot from preparing this before I left for vacation to put in. There obviously will be a couple